Right, hi, Jerry Ewing here, HRHTV with Mr. Rick Wakeman, who is headlining tonight. Congratulations, sir, another headline performance.
Yeah, with the smallest band ever, it's me. Yeah, everybody else has got bands except for me tonight. Yeah, but apparently they're giving me a piano.
Which helps, I suppose. It does help. So what can we expect on stage tonight?
A piano.
One man and his piano.
Actually, what I'm going to do, it's not like the normal one-man show that I do around the theatres, although I obviously have a piano for that. This is, I thought it'd be an opportunity, as it's a sort of a prog event, because everything I write on the piano, to sort of go through a bit, still be the odd silly story, but to be possibly a little bit more sensible than usual.
If I could just butt in, could you ever get through a gig without cracking a gag?
No, to be honest. But I'm going to try and be a bit about, in between the silliness, about why I write everything on the piano, how it's written, and then sort of play the pieces as they were done and how the little sections were done together in the piano. So it's not a masterclass, anything daft like that, but perhaps for those who are really genuinely interested in the prog, so how it was actually done and written, they'll find it. Hopefully, they will find it interesting. Those who aren't interested won't find it interesting at all.
With an audience like this, it's a sort of dedicated prog audience, and obviously, we've seen the audience gradually swell throughout the day. Obviously,
they've been eating a lot. They
have, yeah.
Yeah.
The food is wonderful. Have you not tried it?
No, I didn't get. I live in Norfolk. You can't get further east to west than here, so I had an extremely grim garage sandwich on the way down.
Maybe it's just as well you're going to be the only man on stage.
Yeah, you're very true. No, it's actually in all seriousness, it's quite interesting because obviously it's been all bands and things. But it is interesting that how you write stuff. What we call short score stuff, which is you get an idea of something, you do it on piano, you write it down, continue on piano, and it's only then when you get the band together or that it starts to develop and grow. That's pretty much how Yes always was. I mean, I know that Steve did most of his stuff acoustic guitar, did on the piano, then we'd all meet up together, and Chris would do a lot on acoustic and things and that as well, and Bill would do on anything you could come up with some great rhythms. And so it was interesting that it all very much started in a very small acoustic way, and then moved on to all the instruments. What's fascinating was, and we did it with Yes as well in the middle of on the last tour that I did in 2002 to 2005. We decided to throw in a sort of a Yes unplugged acoustic set, and a lot of people said that will never work. But certainly John and myself were convinced it would, simply because that's how all the stuff was written in the first place. And I think a lot of people forget that it doesn't start with, the bells and whistles and kitchen sinks. It starts actually with ideas that come on acoustic instruments.
So let's talk about all the classic early 70s albums, or in fact the 70s albums basically, are all coming back out. We've had the Six Wives of Henry VIII. We've had the Myths and Legends of King Arthur and Knights of the Round Table coming up. We've got No Earthly Connection, Journey to the Centre of the Earth, and I believe White Rock as well.
Rock as well, yeah. It's there is no doubt about it that the 70s, not just for me, but I think for a lot of people, was the most unbelievable period of time for music. And I put it down to a couple of things. First of all, it was the last period of time where the musician was ahead of technology. We were screaming at keyboard manufacturers, guitar, all sorts of manufacturers for instruments and amplification and whatever, and for studio equipment as well, because we were actually trying to do things that couldn't be done. I mean, I'll give you a classic example. Close to the Edge was there was what we lovingly call the sparkle tape at the beginning. That sparkle tape took us about 2 weeks to make. We recorded birds, bells. John recorded some fairies. There was lots of things that we recorded. We made it into the world's biggest loop tape, which was about. I mean, I line up. It went all around the studio, around pencils and things to put back onto the multi-track. It took 2 weeks. When I rejoined the band in 2002, and we were going to do Close to the Edge, it took me about 8 minutes to put that together with the equipment. So you were always constantly trying to do back then things that you were told couldn't be done. The other great thing was that I've said it before. You could break all the rules because you knew what the rules were, so you could break them and do things. The other great thing was managements and record companies left you alone because they hadn't got a clue what you were doing. And the truth of the matter was, at that particular time, albums were far outselling singles. So record companies were going, well, we're not going to argue. And the great thing was, of course, then you had radio stations that were willing to play, and programs that were willing to play, like Nicky Horns, Your Mother Wouldn't Like It, I think, would play the stuff, and people could discover it themselves. I mean, the head of A&M Records, Derek Green, at the time, I remember him being asked years later if he liked what I did, and he said, couldn't understand a note of it. He said, but he sold shitloads of records and kept our offices going in King's Road, so why am I going to complain? And that was a great attitude. I mean, it was a great attitude. There were people in A&M Records who understood what I did. People like Tony Burfield and Terry O'Neill supported it fantastically, and that's all you needed. Somebody in the record label who understood it, like Phil Carson at Atlantic with Yes. As long as you had those people, it was great, and they left you alone. And then what happened was the music was put out there for the people to decide whether they liked it or not. You got to that stage, of course, when you got into the 80s or the late 70s, where suddenly the famous world of A&R men really appeared, and the sort of said, oh yeah, well, we want 3-minute singles, we've got to have at least 4 singles on the album, we can't get the radio playlist we did because radio became formatted. And my argument is, and I said it just a few days ago, and what became of all this so-called wonderful industry that we had that wasn't broken, so you get these so-called clever little non-musicians who sort of come in, play around, and what have we got now? We haven't got a record industry as we know it. We haven't got a pyramid scale for bands and things to come through. We haven't got any record shops anymore. Hello? It's not rocket science, is it? Good moan, that.
Thanks very much for taking the time to talk.
Yeah,
That's it. HRHTV.
Oh.
I was still 5 minutes, so it's like, and I think we've gone way beyond that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And really looking forward to tonight.
Are you?